In sports, it's our job to deliver the baby. No one cares about the labor pains and how hard it is.
All right, welcome to Willing to Fail. I'm your host, Peyton Bennett, as usual. Today we got a very special guest. He is a 7-year NFL vet, a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He is also the co-host of the All Things Covered podcast with Patrick Peterson, and he is currently a football analyst for CBS. So with no further ado, Bryant McFadden, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming on. So I think any NFL player I talk to, I feel like their journey to get to where they are is always full of ups and downs. So no better place to start for you than the beginning. So I saw that you were from Florida, and I know a lot of athletes are coming out of there. So kind of talk to me about your upbringing and like kind of what do you think gave you the advantage genetically and then just kind of mentally to become the athlete you became.
My upbringing was filled with athletics. I've always gravitated to sports. I've always gravitated to the sense of competing against, my peers or even older, folks. I grew up around my cousins and I was always the younger one. And football was something that we always did on the side of the house. Every Saturday and Sunday we playing football. Every Thanksgiving we had our own turkey bowl. Holidays, Christmas, when we didn't have school, we were playing football. So that's something that, I always wanted to be a part of because I loved it growing up. So I just played the game, played basketball, of course, all of the sports, but it was just something about football that I really leaned on more than the other sports. I've always watched it, religiously as a kid growing up. And I just was consumed to that. That's what I saw all the time. That's what I heard. So naturally, I gravitated to what I was seeing and what I was hearing. And then athletically, I just, I always felt myself to be very good athletically, but it was just certain things I was kind of different. I felt like I was different, when it came to the speed, just the ability to jump and just the quickness. I was always a little different. And, I leaned on that, continued to work at it, moving to South Florida, in 1995, and just always hearing that was a hub for football players. I wanted to showcase my ability and what I could do and, just took off. So long story short, I fell in love with the game early, and that's all I ever wanted to do. And not just me loving the game, I actually love working, trying to get better, love competing. So as you know, anything that you do, the more reps you get in, the better you become, the more comfortable you become. You know what I mean? It's not just playing the game. You could be a journalist, you could be a producer. The more items, the more things you can write about, you become a better writer. The more opportunities you get to be behind a camera or whatever, producing, directing films, you become better. So for me, a lot of reps, and I just believed in my ability, man. And, the good Lord above put me in positions to excel, and I was able to take advantage of those opportunities.
And you said you were gifted with like special ability or you felt different than like your peers. At what age did you kind of realize like, hey man, I'm faster and more athletic than everybody around me?
I'll say third grade.
Okay.
Third grade, at that time, in third grade, we had recess, right? So during recess, we're playing a sport. Usually we would always gravitate to football. So we have a football, we play throw 'em up tackle. I don't know if a lot of people who are watching me know what throw 'em up tackle is. Was basically it's a man-made game where you go out, you can play with 20 kids, you can play with 5. You just throw the ball up in the middle, whoever catches it, everyone else got to tackle that guy. So for me, I always wanted to get my hands on the football first because I was gonna make people miss, and I was probably going to score to the nearest end zone, whatever end zone we identified as the touchdown zone. So that's when I noticed, like, man, it feels real easy. It was real easy for me to make people miss. And also, too, one caveat about that is my mom used to get really, really mad if I came home from school and I had grass stains in my pants. Like, if I had on long jeans and I had grass stains on my knee area from falling, oh, she would get heated. She would go off on me. And eventually my pants had so many grass stains, where she couldn't wash them out, so she would just cut them at the knee and created short pants. So I got tired of getting yelled at when I came home with grass stains in my pants. So I said, you know what? I love football. I want to play the game with my friends, but I can't afford to keep getting grass stains in my pants because I had to hear my mom. So guess what I need to do? I can't get tackled. I can't fall. I can't hit the ground. So that put more of an initiative in me and not allowing someone to tackle me down to the ground. So that was a crazy way for me to kind of, hey, don't get tackled because I can't get these grass stains in my pants. But also it helped me because I was able to maneuver and make people miss. And that's when I realized, like, third grade, like, yo, this is pretty easy. I was very, very fast for a kid my age, and just the athletic ability of me just making people miss. And my biggest teacher at that time was the television, watching football. That was my biggest teacher. So when I saw guys like Barry Sanders making people miss, when I saw, college watching Notre Dame and Ricky Waters and, people like that, and seeing how they used to make people miss, I'm like, yo, I can do the same thing.
Yeah, we played that same game as a kid, called it a little something different, but I probably wasn't as good at it as you were. So you're talking about, you seems like you fell in love with making people miss. And I'm sure with your athleticism in high school, I'm sure you played both sides of the ball. When did you start transitioning to more of a defensive back?
When I fell in love with tackling and laying my helmet on people. So what made me gravitate to the defensive side? Incorrect. I played both sides, Little League, in high school as well. So I've always was a two position type guy. But my favorite football player growing up was Lawrence Taylor. And when I used to watch Lawrence Taylor just hit people and the intimidation factor and how they feared him, I wanted that. Then I love the ability that playing defense gave me. It gave me the opportunity to hit someone in the mouth for no reason. But actually, that's my job. So that's what made me gravitate, because I love playing offense, scoring touchdowns. That was great. But I wanted to inflict pain legally on someone. You know what I mean? And oftentimes, funny story, when I used to be in middle school, I might have some moments where I feel like the teacher is being unfair to me and I'm getting mad. I can't lash out to the teacher because my mom wasn't going to have that when I go home. So I say, you know what? The anger that I have towards my teacher, for whatever reason, that anger, I'm going to hold it. But when I get out here to football practice, someone has to feel the wrath. I got to let it go. And I would hold all of that anger from whatever was going on with me in the classroom until I got to the practice field. I would let it all out. And that was a safe haven for those type of moments, right? Where you play with emotion, where you play with passion, where you have a little bit of controlled anger involved as well. Because when you play football, especially when you play defense, you got to be ready to let it go. You know what I mean? You got to be ready to bite someone's head off, really. Physical. You got to be mean. You got to be mean. And they welcome that. So that's what made me play defense more than anything. Because I'm like, man, I like the attention that you get when you scoring touchdowns and people, writing about you. But I love making someone feel fear more than anything.
Okay. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. They say all defensive players are a little crazy, so I can see that a little bit. But that's really, looking back, that's a really mature way to compartmentalize your anger at such a young age, to be able to hold on to it and get your aggression out in a way that, like you said, is your safe haven. So that makes a lot of sense. So for you, you saying at a young age you were kind of head above everybody else athletically, and obviously sounds like that continued through high school. So what was the process of choosing Florida State, and were there other schools on the table, or you always wanted to stay in Florida?
Funny story, growing up, I hated Florida State. Oh, I couldn't stand Florida State. That was the era of it was okay to take your helmets off when you score a touchdown. That was that college era where you didn't get penalized for removing your helmet and having fun in the end zone. So I hated Florida State because they scored so many touchdowns all the time and all their places to take their helmet off. So I hated Florida State, I hated Miami, I hated Florida for that. I grew up a Clemson Tiger fan. I was born in South Carolina, so I wanted to run down the hill. Danny Ford was one of my favorite all-time coaches until Coach Bowden, and I played with Coach Bowden. So growing up, when I went through Little League process in South Florida, Little League is a big thing. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
I was really becoming that player that everyone came out to watch in Little League. When I went to high school, Hollywood, MacArthur in Hollywood, Florida, Started off playing JV my first few games my freshman year, and they elevated me to varsity. I made every start. So I started varsity cornerback as a ninth grade, played 10th, 11th, 12th. And each year I just got better. Each year I got better. And one caveat I would say to anyone who's watching, this episode, and you play football and you have aspirations to play high-level football on the next level, in the next level, collegiately, D1, D2, whatever the case may be, what really helped me was lifting weights. We had a horrible year one year. We only won one game. I played good, but we didn't win, and I didn't like that, so I wanted to get better. I spent the entire summer working out. And my strength, along with my ability, God-given ability, and just my work ethic, I continued to excel to become one of the best players in the state of Florida. By my senior year, I was the best player at my position in the country, not just the state of Florida. I had whoever you want to call, whoever you want to think of, knocking on my door, wanted me to go to school there, from the West Coast, East Coast, North, South. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, I went to Florida State because Bobby Bowden, Mickey Andrews. Bobby Bowden, because of the respect and just his legendary status, I knew under his coaching in totality as a team, we were going to be good. Mickey Andrews, because Mickey Andrews was the defensive coordinator, but he also was the secondary coach. And of course, I played in the secondary. And watching and just looking at his history in the game, defensively, while there at Florida State, his defenses played angry. That was something that I used to do. His defenses played with a physical mindset that most offenses couldn't really meet. I love that. They played fast. They were relentless. All of those things I like. That's what I wanted to be a part of. And then from the secondary standpoint, Mickey Andrews is a guy who coached the likes of like the Leroy Butlers of the world, right? The Deion Sanders of the world, Terrell Buckley, Corey Sawyer, Clifton Abraham, Samari Rowe, great after great after great. The names can go on. I know we didn't have time for that. But I said, if he coached those guys and got those guys to be able to perform at their best each and every Saturday, I want that same thing.
Yeah, it seems like
go ahead.
It's like that kind of same theme of why you chose Florida State of all those great defensive players and getting to the top level. I mean, you kind of followed that same pattern going to the Steelers. We just had the NFL draft not too long ago. So what was your reaction to getting drafted to the Steelers and the emotions of going in the second round?
Initially, I was mad. I was pissed off. I was mad because I thought I could get into the late first round. That didn't happen. I was mad because I was going to Pittsburgh. And the first thing I thought about when it came to Pittsburgh was gloomy, always cloudy, always cold. And I didn't look at the football element. But that was the best thing that could have happened to me. And my high school coach at the time told me, he was at my draft party, Coach Franklin. He said, man, listen, because he saw I was mad. I was mad for two reasons I just laid out for you guys. But he said, man, you're going to a team that's always going to be in the playoff contention. And that time I ain't hear that. I'm like, I don't want to hear nothing about that. No playoffs. But it's the best thing that could have happened for me. My tenure there in Pittsburgh, we played in 3 Super Bowls. We won 2. You know what I mean? And we had a lot of success. I met a lot of cool, great people. The fan base is unbelievable. And I'm overly thankful for that opportunity because I have lifelong relationships because of that opportunity to play for the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be great. I mean, you're coming as a rookie and you guys won the Super Bowl your rookie year, right?
Yeah, fresh out the gate.
So you're in your mind, yeah, in your mind, are you just like, yeah, we're going to be here every year. This is what happens.
Yeah, I thought we'd go to the Super Bowl every year. I didn't know you don't go to the Super Bowl every year. I didn't know that it's hard to even get to the playoffs. You know what I mean? So for me, that's all I knew. And we had a lot of success. We won way more than we lost throughout my time there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you're definitely around some great players and just a great team in general, you being one of them. So I was curious because I was looking at your timeline in the NFL. So you're with the Steelers. You guys beat the Cardinals in the Super Bowl, and then they ship you over, or you sign with the Cardinals, and then you're the full-time starter for a year. I feel like that on paper, I know as a defensive back it's kind of different, but on paper you started all 16 games for the first time as a Cardinal, and then they traded you back to the Steelers. Like, what was going on in your head when all that process was going on?
Well, the main thing that was going on in my head was that I was never supposed to leave Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
When it came to the business, I felt like it was a better opportunity in Arizona. And eventually we came back full circle and said, you know what? It wasn't. You know what I mean? Because Pittsburgh wanted me to come back, and I was okay in returning because a lot of the guys that I played with were still there. So I still had, significant relationships there with the organization along with the coaching staff as well. So that's how it happens sometimes. You know what I mean? You see guys leave for a year, guys come back. Hey, we're currently watching it right now with Ezekiel Elliott. He left the Cowboys for a year. Now he's coming right back to the Cowboys. So when I returned and I kind of heard that, that could be a possibility once the offseason, started, I was like, well, it makes sense. I'm a Steeler. Most importantly, they drafted me. I won 2 Super Bowls. Why not with that organization?
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to finish your career, the same way it started, just as a Steeler. And I see you got all the Steeler stuff behind you. I don't see much Cardinal stuff back there, so I feel like you think of yourself as a Steeler.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona was a great situation. One year, got a chance to see something different. We had success. We won the division, got into the playoffs. But I was heavily invested into the Steelers organization. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful for both opportunities to go out to Arizona and also to return back to Pittsburgh.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, you obviously had a great career on the field of the NFL, and I know that opens a lot of doors after the fact, and you've clearly done a great job of transitioning into the media world and working after the NFL. And I mean, every pro athlete's in a weird situation. Like, you play your last football game when you're probably like 30 years old, and you're starting a new career when like retiring on paper at 30 or whatever. So how long, like, was there parts of your time in the NFL where you were already thinking about what you wanted to do after, or what was kind of your whole process of transitioning from after the league?
I stated earlier, I just love sports, right? So my career kind of ended prematurely, and I was put in a difficult position because all I did was play football. So go back to my 3rd grade year until I was 31 or whatever it was, 32 when I retired, I had the same regimen. I played ball during the season. Once the season over, I kind of trained to get ready for the next season. I had that same regimen for 20 plus years, doing the same thing. And I really thought I could play a little longer, but for whatever reasons, it came to a halt. You know what I mean? And now it's like, okay, what's next? As I stated earlier, football, I love the game. That was the first earthly thing, worldly thing that I fell in love with. So not being able to play the game anymore, what could I do that could still provide me a minute piece of that same love, right? Talking the game, you know what I mean? Exploring those opportunities. Yeah, coaching was an option to a degree, but, I felt like I could do more by talking the game, you know what I mean? And being informative and also entertaining also. So I just kind of started from the ground up, trying to find ways to get an opportunity. And one opportunity presented another opportunity. And it's about just, when it's game day, it's about winning. You know what I mean? And that's what I was able to do. And I'm thankful for those opportunities because there were so many people that helped me to get opportunities and, assisted me to some degree. And that's what we need. That's what makes life good, helping each other. Even if you don't know someone, personally, just still being able to help to some degree because that's how you receive blessings, by blessing others with no intentions of trying to receive something. You're just trying to be helpful. You're just trying to be a good dude, good girl, good woman, good guy, good man. You know what I mean? And I had good people that were just willing to help me, not looking for anything in return. And I just kind of, maneuvered until I felt really comfortable in being able to be good at this job. And that has led me to opportunities right now is talking to you, through those opportunities. And, and I'm just happy and thankful for it.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't have said it better myself. I think just the whole mindset of just like the abundance of just sharing and giving to other people is going to come back to you for sure. So for you, is there any, I mean, like you said too, like just getting more reps too, and like the media world is going to get you better at it. And for you, so last thing, like what are your ambitions going forward? Like what are you most looking forward to in the future, and what drives you now?
I just love talking the game. I look forward to continuing to talk the game. The NFL side of things, the landscape is continuing to, increase, not just domestically, but globally. People get fired up every year by the upcoming season. The Super Bowl has become a bigger event. The draft is a bigger event. The schedule release opportunity is a big event. Training camps are a big event. So people are always looking for the next year. So I love that, that phase of what I do. For me, I just love continuing to inform, man. I want to inform people. I want to educate people, and I want to entertain people. And football gives me the ability to do that. And then when it comes to college, the same thing, the same excitement that I talked about that's surrounding the NFL side of things, the same thing with college football. And I love that as well because I get a chance to see guys that you watch become a potential household name. And then we see these guys elevate their game to Sunday. You know what I mean? So I love that. Like Michael Penix, I remember, talking about Michael Penix when he was at Indiana his freshman year when he jumped into the lineup and then he got injured. And then just that process and still following him and now seeing the man that he is becoming on and off the football field. Those are great things for me. So that's what I keep doing, man. I tell people all the time, I don't work a day in my life. I watch football. I talk ball. I talk on different platforms, and just because of those opportunities that have led me to be able to talk about other areas in life. Because at the same time, when you talk about life, when it comes to sports, it's a significant comparison to life in general. Because in sports, you're going to face adversity, either physical adversity where your body might be declining, you're dealing with injuries. You got to find a way to get over it, right? That's the same thing with life. You face adversities where you feel like you don't know how you're going to get whatever it is you need to get done, but you still got to find a way, right? So life is a great reflection on sports. Find a way, get it done. No one wants to hear about the pains, the labor pains. Mike Tomlin said this to me years ago. I never forget this. In sports, it's our job to deliver the baby. No one cares about the labor pains and how hard it is. It's your job to deliver the baby. And in life, especially when you become an adult and you have responsibilities or, children you have to, be responsible for, it's your job to deliver the baby. We know it's hard. We know it's going to be tough, but it's your job to deliver the baby. And another thing my high school coach used to tell us all the time, as you see, I keep, reflecting on something that I learned through sports is it's hard, but it's fair. When we used to be out there running those hundreds in that South Florida heat, it's 110 degrees outside, it's humid, and we got to run 10 of them time, 110s. It is hard because your body is going through a lot. But the fair part is you're not the only one doing this. Because if you want to be good, there's another high school 5 miles down the road, they're doing the same thing. That's the fair part. And that's how life is. We go through things. We go through moments where mentally we feel like we're going to crash. That's hard. But guess what? The fair part is there's a man in California going through what you're going through plus more. So that's what sports has done for me. Sports have gave me a great manuscript on life. Just finding a way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think that's why it's important for kids to be in sports. And I think everything you said is spot on, like just the whole way it teaches you life lessons and everything. So I appreciate you coming on. That was all the questions I had for you. Last thing, where can the people find you and on social media or what else, anything else you want to plug?
First and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the invite. In regards to my social media name for all handles, it's the same, BMAC, BMAC _ sports talk. Oftentimes I interact with fans, respectful fans, not the ones who are disrespectful because I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I love interacting, man. I love doing what I do. And like I said, I appreciate this opportunity. It was wonderful. And you keep doing what you're doing. And if you ever want to reach out to me, feel free. You know what I mean? You don't have to call me collect. You got a free access, so it's all right.
I appreciate it, man. Well, that's all I got for you. Thanks again for coming on, and that's a show.